And we're live. Welcome to the Lakers Late Night Podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin. I am back after a one-game hiatus to take care of my now one-eyed dog. She is dealing with all kinds of confidence issues and stuff, so we're just nursing her back to health, both physically and mentally. Although Byron would just call her soft and rip open the stitches and all that stuff. Breaking. Byron doesn't like dogs. I'm joined by Harrison Fagan.
That might be your worst introduction to the podcast / segue to me ever.
Honestly, all right. So
speaking of one-eyed dogs, my co-host Harrison Fagan.
All right. So here's what I do when I open the show: is that I'll say welcome, blah 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 blah, and I'll find I want to do whatever I can to make you roll your eyes as far back as you can possibly roll them. It's a stupid personal game that I've taken up, and I love every second of it. How are you doing tonight, Harrison?
A lot better before my eyes nearly got stuck in the back of my head, but pretty good. I mean, that was a terrible, terrible second half for the Lakers, but the first half was kind of fun to watch.
That's what I was just going to say. My notes, this game against the Houston Rockets, in which the Lakers lost by a wide margin, 112-95, was a tale of two halves. Unfortunately, I slept through the first half, and you were unable to catch much of the first half. So it's kind of tough to really talk.
I watched enough of it to see it. Kobe was doing a really good job facilitating the offense in the first quarter. So that helped him. That's why he racked it. I think he had 7 assists in the first quarter, which was, we'll say, unexpected given his prior output this season. But I guess he wanted to show Dwight the stellar teammates he was missing out on having. So he really wanted to showcase those guys.
Unfortunately, that strategy did not work very much in the second half, and Dwight was left to trash talk with a couple kids. We'll talk about that later, though.
The second half, it just looked like the Rockets were like, oh, yeah, we should probably try.
Yeah.
Like, maybe if we give, like, a token effort on defense, we'll be able to stop them. And it worked. And the Lakers were like, here, let's post up Roy Hibbert. Let's, do other, like let's throw Ryan Kelly in there. This will solve problems.
That's what I was just going to say, is that Ryan Kelly gets, any kind of extended run. You can pretty much bank on the Lakers sucking during said run.
I looked it up for Silver Screen and Roll, and I guess that we can kind of use this to segue into, we were going to talk about Tarik Black, I think, right? I mean, the game, it just got out of hand. There's not a whole lot of relevance other than Kobe passed Jerry West for assists, and I can't think of much else to take away from the game, right?
There was Julius Randle getting back into the starting lineup and putting up a double-double.
That's true.
But that had, I think, a lot to do with Larry Nance's injury, right? So one would think when Nance comes back, Randall goes back to the bench, though you never freaking know. Byron's completely random on this stuff. And
trying to predict his rotations is folly, I've come to find.
You have a better chance. I think this is actually mathematically proven that you have a better chance at guessing the Powerball numbers than how Byron Scott will manage minutes game by game with the Lakers. I was pretty shocked at that finding too.
Yeah.
So we all right. So we were going to talk about Roy first.
Okay.
But let's go ahead and we'll just pick up with the Tarik Black talk. The quote that caught my eye that again made me roll my eyes was him saying that Tarik Black didn't make that big an impact or playing down the kind of impact Tarik Black made. And I'm just thinking, like, if I'm a young player and I'm just not allowed to get a compliment that isn't in some way backhanded from Byron, like, eventually, can we hope that all the first and second year players just get together and jump Byron, or is that something that we shouldn't hope for?
I think mutiny is probably not something that we can expect, especially given that we're halfway through the season and it hasn't happened yet.
Bummer. But what was your takeaway when you heard Byron? Kind of. I just think for Tarik Black, he hasn't played all season. He comes in, and it's not like he took the world by storm. He did a lot of the things that you would hope you would see from Tarik Black. But you have to think, if I throw me a bone here, coach. I jumped off the bench after sitting down for so damn long because you're a moron. And I come in and I do some good things and I show exactly why I probably should be playing a little bit more. And all you do is knock the kind of effort that, or he didn't knock his effort, but
he said Tarik has been okay, and then he questioned whether he got the message on what he needs to do to stick in the NBA via Janice Carr of the OC Register.
It's just so stupid.
And then when she was asked what Byron said that he was asking Tarik Black to do, and he said, be a, quote, beast, be aggressive, is what Black said that Byron told him to do. So good to hear a lot of schematic and systemic and technical talk from our head coach.
Byron's going to fit right in on TNT when he gets fired. He's going to be great. He can take Reggie's job. I kind of feel like Byron Scott is that actor who was like the 17th lead in a straight-to-DVD movie who opens up an acting studio and tells a bunch of kids how they can stick in Hollywood, despite not being he's good as a Laker, and he was one of the favorite Lakers of that era, but his constant desire to tell everybody who's listening, hey, I played in the NBA, I know what it takes. It's just annoying. It's just stupid narrative.
More Byron Scott on Tarik Black from after the game. You should on what he wants Tarik Black or his advice for Tarik Black. You should play balls out and full of energy like Ben Wallace, Dennis Rodman, or Kenneth Faried.
He played 34 effing seconds. You freaking moron.
I don't know how Tarik Black can play with more energy. How can you watch him play and think that energy is the issue? I don't understand.
It's like Drew coming forth after one of our shows and saying, Anthony just needs to talk more.
Needs more puns. I don't.
Anthony would do really well if he would just wear a Dodgers hat.
How can you watch Tarik Black and think that he's not giving enough energy? It's that same thing. His solution to somebody not playing well is that they're not giving energy. It must be an intangible effort thing. It can't possibly be that they're not being put in a great situation or that their shot's not falling or whatever it may be. And Tarik Black was really good when he got to play against the Warriors. I'm baffled by this.
What would Byron say about his coaching if he judged his own coaching? Because he doesn't use a lot of energy out there.
Given the fact that he's never taken responsibility for any of the Lakers' struggles, really, I would say flawless.
I wouldn't say that. All right, so not if he actually judged himself, right? But if he walked into a gym and saw somebody coaching exactly like him and saying all the things that he says and everything, right, and takes himself out of the equation. I kind of wonder if he would question that coach's energy, because all he does is stand there with his arms crossed. Hey,
lack
Byron,
of giving tips.
Yeah. Byron, what do you think of that coach is over there? What he's done so far in these games in his adjustments? I really think he should cross his arms more. You just look so much more authoritative when you have your arms crossed. Byron.
This stuff just doesn't make sense. We've said it. I think we say it after every show, but it's almost like we aren't watching the same games. I just don't think that there's any way that we're this bad at watching basketball.
We've been watching baseball this whole time. That's our problem.
Good point. I was wondering why everybody was complaining about Kobe wasn't passing enough. I didn't see him once.
Kobe who? What?
Just watching current Dodgers player, because I know a lot of them.
The flip side to the Tarik Black not playing tonight was that we saw Ryan Kelly, and all I'm asking, this will be a quick 1 second segment or one question segment, is please, Harrison, even if you have to lie to me, tell me we aren't going to see 20 straight games of Ryan Kelly in NBA basketball. Just
20 straight games? No, I don't think 20 straight games. it's crazy to me that he's saying that Tarik Black doesn't know his role or doesn't know what it takes to play in the NBA, and then he continues to play this this Kelly Bass front court rotation that I actually realized I sent out that tweet with a typo, but the Kelly Bass front court rotation, which has an offensive rating of 94.6. So the end that you're trying to get those guys to open things up on, not going so hot. Defensive rating 109.2. So they're giving up almost 110 points per 100 possessions.
And the Lakers won. What was the final? They lost what? 112.95. Is that what it was? Yeah, 112.95, and that's what, 17 points difference there. And if you're talking, that's about the 17 point. What'd you say was the stat? 96 and 110.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
94.6, excuse me.
Yeah, so you're almost looking at the exact difference in today's game. Almost the exact difference was those two guys playing, which mathematically, and there are all kinds of variables that go into it. But boy, is that telling that they lose by 17.
Is he trying to disprove? I think the only thing that makes sense is that they're trying to disprove that small ball works with this lineup.
They're going to die on that hill.
See, I put 2 shooting forwards out there, and we suck. It's
oh, man. Byron. The opposite of playing 2 short and shooting forwards is throwing Roy Hibbert's carcass out there nightly. And there was a report today from Steve Kyler that the Lakers are trying to find a playoff team for him. So we'll get to that here in a second. But you were saying before the show that the Roy Hibbert hatred is slightly misplaced, and I almost kicked you off the show. But go ahead and make that case.
First of all, thank you for not. Although I guess it would have given me the night free to go do other stuff, so maybe I should just try and get kicked off the show.
All right, well, everybody say bye to Harrison.
Yeah, I'm just going to quit now. But no, Roy, I think he's been placed. So there was thought when they traded that second round pick for him over the summer that for just the second round pick, this guy's going to come in and he's going to have a chance to plug all these holes in this awful Lakers defense from last year. And he did help the Lakers defense. I think they're like 0.4 points per 100 possessions better on defense this year than they were last year. So the Roy Hibbert effect, everybody. But his individual rim protection numbers are not too bad. I don't remember his exact percentages off the top of my head. But as far as the team's defense being really bad with him on the floor, how much of that is a function of he's playing the majority of his minutes with Kobe Bryant, he just doesn't defend anymore at this stage in his NBA career. It's not that he's a bad defender, it's that he doesn't defend. Mm-hmm. Which is like, I mean, he's 37. That makes sense. He can't, his body can't hold up to that. But then now he's playing alongside Jordan Clarkson, who is not making very many strides on defense like a lot of people hoped he would. And Lou Williams, who is never going to be a good defender. And then now Larry Nance Jr. instead of Julius Randle. So he does have one other good defender in the lineup. But when his wing players are letting guys into the paint, on almost every single play, nobody's rotating to cover for Roy's man when he steps up to stop guys. How much of this is really his fault on defense? And then on offense, when they post him up, it's like, what do you expect is going to happen?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he's being put, I think, in an unfair position. And to his credit, he's maintained a good attitude. He's been a good leader for the young guys, been a good veteran mentor. I don't think that we can start writing a eulogy on Roy Hibbert's career. Now, I do think that we can write a eulogy on his career with the Lakers. I think there's almost no chance he stays here after the offseason. I don't think that they're going to find a suitor for him, but we can get to that a little bit in a minute. Mm-hmm. But I guess I don't get the hate because I think that he's being put in a really unfair position.
So for me, it's about watching somebody play basketball who it sucks to watch him play basketball. Like it's not fun at all to watch him go out there and play basketball. It's the same kind of thing you could say about Dwight Howard, really. That you watch these lumbering 7-footers play, and Dwight Howard considerably less lumbering than Roy Hibbert was. But you watch Roy Hibbert play, and it's just so damn frustrating that somebody, when his arms are straight up and he's right at the rim, he's 2 inches away from finishing on these layups, and they almost never go in. He dunked the ball tonight, and I was astonished because on a dunk in which somebody with his measurements, what is he listed? He's 7'2",
I believe.
Yeah, he's 7'2", and how many pounds? I want to know how much he weighs. Yeah, 7'2", 270 pounds. That somehow he wouldn't move the damn rim on a dunk. He goes up and he tries to finish with force, and he doesn't move the rim. And he's just, for all the soft talk that we give Byron a hard time about, saying, he's the softest player I think I've ever seen finishing at the rim. And we watched Pau Gasol play for, however long we watched.
Is it soft, or is he just not good at it? I think.
Well, I do think there's a tentativeness when he goes up to finish at the rim. He short arms a lot.
But is it tentativeness, or is it lack of coordination? Is my thing.
It could. Well, I mean, his play, his
been a lot of
finishing and
talk
stuff.
like going into the draft for his whole career, people have talked about he's not the most coordinated guy. He found success because he can jump straight up like a plank. I mean, it doesn't playing his style of defense like he did with the Indiana Pacers, where they just had their defense was very good about just funneling guys straight into his body. He didn't have to move a lot to go get them, and they made great rotations to cover up for his man when he stepped up. And the Lakers just don't do that. But I don't think that he's the most coordinated guy, which is why it doesn't make sense to run offense for him. Or
wasn't there a considerable drop-off in his offensive production, right? At some point in his career, his finishing ability just fell off a cliff.
I don't think he's ever been a good finisher.
Well, I don't think he was ever good, but he became historically bad.
I know for a fact that this year, because I looked it up the other day for my 9 takeaways from the Lakers season, that this is the worst field goal percentage he's ever shot. So he is having legitimate issues finishing this year. And the Lakers are better on both ends of the floor when he is off the court. But I think there's a lot of noise in those stats because of who he's playing with, was the only point that I'm trying to make. I'm not arguing that Roy Hibbert's been good this year. I'm just arguing that I don't think that there are a lot of players that you could put into his position and they would be good with the Lakers.
Right. I think it's just a really terrible fit because many of the other Lakers are probably best suited to, play an up and down style, and he takes away from that completely.
Overall, for his career, he's a 46.3% shooter as a 7-footer. So he's never been a great finisher.
Are you look about 2-3 years ago, either 2-3 or 3 or 4 years ago.
The best field goal percentage he has ever shot was in 2011-12, and he shot 49.7%.
What was the following year?
The following year was 44.8.
Okay.
But that was right when the Pacers started to break out.
Right. Yeah, I forget. I
think some of that's a little bit narrative driven.
And that's completely possible because I didn't watch very many Pacers basketball games back then.
Who would? They were not an enjoyable team to watch play. It was like they just ground out games. You could respect them for it, but it just wasn't that much fun to watch.
I would completely agree. I like I was saying, I think with Roy, there's a frustration of watching somebody so big, so terrible at finishing. He's big, he's lumbering, he's not particularly charismatic. And again, he takes away, when he's on the court, he takes away from the optimal style of play that these young guys should be playing. Right? When you watch and when he's on the court, the game becomes uglier. And I think a lot of this hatred comes from that when he's on the court, the Lakers are significantly less fun to watch.
That's fair. I agree with all of that stuff. I just think that I think that sometimes the criticism of him for that goes a little bit too far. That's on management and that's on coaching for putting him, for thinking that he could fit into this style more than it is on him. All he did was waive his trade kicker to come here.
Right. And to the Lakers management credit, it sounded in the report that they're doing this for him. They're trying to find a suitor for him. He isn't. It didn't sound like he's requesting a trade.
Yeah, that's almost one of those. That's almost one of those leaks that comes off as trying to appease an agent in some way. That yeah, we're looking for a trade for this guy to a contender, to a playoff team. But what playoff team is trading for Roy Hibbert? I don't see a fit. I looked earlier today. I don't really see a fit.
His contract makes this really hard.
Yeah, he's making 15.7 million. I think 15.2 million. It's 15 point. Yeah, it's like 15 plus million, and. I think that the trade kicker now is waived, but still, at 15 million on an expiring contract, what team is giving up assets for him?
Yeah, there are way fewer big contracts, big stupid contracts that people or teams would just want to move to pick him up than there used to be, or than there were even 3-4 years ago. So trading him just logistically makes it tough. And then also, again, if I'm a playoff team, why would I give up any kind of asset to acquire this guy who I just don't know if he's that long for the league. It sucks.
Yeah, no, I think that he'll be in the league. It's not going to be at 15 million, but I think that he'll find a spot. One of the teams that a lot of people were bringing up is Chicago, because Joakim Noah went down, but they had too many big guys before Joakim Noah went down. The dirty little secret of that injury is that it kind of excises a front court logjam for them. I mean, it's horrible for Noah, who sounds like a great guy. He's a hard worker, and now he's going to take a huge hit on his next contract because of it, and he's in a contract year this year. But it freed up a front court logjam for them. The only fit that I thought made a little bit of sense was Jerry Kachoyan. I think I got your last name right, Jerry. Suggested Utah as a backup to Gobert. But even there, with he's playing well, I think that they're more likely to just stay the course.
I think for Chicago, if they would make that kind of trade, it would be with Roy understanding you might get 8 minutes some nights, and you just better be happy playing 8 minutes. Whereas Joakim Noah, under no circumstance, would be fine playing 8 minutes. So the logjam thing, I think, could be worked out in Chicago because Roy is not very good, in my opinion.
Yeah, he'd probably be happy just to be on a good team.
Mm-hmm. And really, like if you're Chicago and you're trying to find ways to stop LeBron, because that's really what you're trying to do in the East. You just find as many big bodies as you possibly can and put them in front of the rim.
And I don't think that there are a lot of big guys that have had more success at stopping LeBron than Roy Hibbert.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely. Yeah, so I think if there is a suitor, it's in the Eastern Conference. I don't think a Western team would trade for Roy Hibbert because there is no chance in any situation that he could play against the Golden State Warriors, right? So unless you're like
they traded coaches Luke Walton for Byron Scott, and then we'd get a lot of Bogut post-ups, in which case you really need Hibbert to slow that down.
Yeah, so I don't think any Western team is going to trade for Hibbert because you're acquiring somebody who just can't play against the team you're hoping to topple en route to the finals.
He might be able to play against the Spurs.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But who acquires like?
I agree with you. My whole point is that it's almost impossible to find a suitor for Roy Hibbert. I don't think that a lot of people got excited that he was on the way out, and that was kind of what prompted the earlier discussion. But I don't think that Roy's not going anywhere unless it's via some type of buyout or something like that. I'm pretty confident that they aren't going to find a trade for him.
A 3-team. It would probably take like a third team to just include a contract. I'm all right. I'm going to spend some time on the trade machine tonight. All right. To wrap up the show, there was a tweet sent out. I forget who sent it. I think it's Bob Garcia.
It was Bob Garcia the fourth.
Yep, there you go. So he sent out a tweet tonight that a couple kids were heckling Dwight Howard about how he sucks at basketball. And of course, because Dwight Howard is the most mature individual that has ever stepped foot on an NBA court, he shot back at him. So,
according to Michael Pena of Bleacher Report, apparently the kids were telling Dwight that he sucked. So we do have the specific nature of the trash talk.
All right, so that's the starting point. Do you want to play the kids or do you want to play Dwight?
Oh, we're going full role play on this.
Yeah, let's have some fun.
Sure, I'll go kids. I'll let you
All
get
right.
yourself in trouble.
All right, so I guess you start with telling me I
Somebody's
suck.
just going to screen grab just this individual or screen record just this individual part and make it into a Vine. But Dwight, you suck.
Nuh-uh.
Uh-huh.
Nuh-uh.
I would have that those are the times when it makes me wish that I was actually at the game. Most of the time you're happy you didn't spend money, you're watching the game on TV in the comfort of your own house and not facing the risk of getting hit in the face with a Marcelo Huertas pass. But those are the times when you wish you were in the lower bowl to listen to what Dwight Howard has to say to a bunch of 12-year-old kids telling him that he sucks.
You know, it's interesting that Dwight Howard is so bad with kids, considering how many kids he has. You would think eventually he'd get it.
This is for our iTunes listeners. I almost fell out of my chair laughing.
All right, I should probably go because if I start talking about Dwight Howard, things don't go very well. I am
Generally
not a Dwight
not.
Howard fan. I am nowhere close to a Dwight Howard fan, and it's not even. I think he's a good talent, and he's obviously worked really hard to get where he is physically. I just think he's the least mature player I've ever seen ever, as evidenced by his desire when he came into the league. And he wanted to put the cross, I believe, on the NBA basketball, and proceeded.
He wanted the Lakers to amnesty or muzzle Kobe.
Yeah, This is the epitome of Dwight Howard's career. He wanted when he first came in. He comes from a very Christian family, I believe, and he came in and he wanted to put the cross on all NBA basketballs everywhere, which. You can talk about religious freedom, and that's an entirely different conversation.
Hey, it's his right to want that. That's
he can.
nothing wrong with that.
And then he
it's
proceeded then he proceeded to get a woman pregnant in half of the continental United States. So there's your good Christian lifestyle, Mr. Howard. Well done, buddy.
Okay, we probably should have called it like 5 minutes ago when you said to.
Yeah, we probably should have. Anywho, that does it for tonight's show. I gave my scorching hot Dwight Howard take. The Lakers play.
Well, real quick.
Oh,
he's a free agent this offseason, potentially, and Kobe's retiring like he wanted the Lakers to get rid of him. The Lakers are going to have a big hole at center with the absence of Roy Hibbert. What do you think, max contract? You think they're at midnight? Mitch Kupchak's going to be knocking on the door?
No.
Backing up the Brinks truck?
Some team is going to be dumb enough to give Howard a max contract and regret it as soon as they sign said max contract. That's how that's going to play out.
It's going to come down to whatever team brings him his favorite candies
and deals with his farts. No, but he's a center who is not nearly as tall as one would think. His game is predicated almost purely on athletic ability, and his body is breaking down. And he's going to demand a max contract, and some team is going to be stupid enough to sign or offer said max contract. And like I said, it's going to be a disaster as soon as he shows up. That's how that's going to play out. And that's not even a personal attack. That's all founded in fact and speculated as such.
I think someone might get 1 or 2 good years out of him, but otherwise I agree. The back end of that contract's going to be ugly if he signs a 4 or 5 year deal.
And we're Lakers fans talking about the back end of a contract and we've been watching Kobe Bryant.
We have a lot of experience with that.
Yeah, we understand what that feels like. All right, so that does it. Before we really get everybody drinking, this was
Dwight Howard. He's coming home. I'm being totally sarcastic again just to clarify for everyone. So I don't get the hate tweets.
What was it? Hashtag Dwight2LA. Ugh.
Ooh. No, it was Stay Dwight. It was hashtag Stay Dwight.
Yeah, come back Dwight. Hashtag come back Dwight.
Get the billboard ready.
It might still be up. All right. we're done. We're really done. The Lakers play
Yes.
again on Wednesday. They play the Sacramento Kings at home. We will be here again to talk about that game. Check out on iTunes. All of these shows go to iTunes the following morning. And then check out this week's Lakers Lounge with Shahan Ahmed. And I probably just got that name wrong. But
No, I think you got it right this time.
there's a pronunciation thing that I just messed up. But all right. We will talk to you, everybody, on Wednesday. Thank you very much, Harrison.
Thanks, Anthony.